everyone! It probably is just one of you watching, but I'm glad you're here. Hi, my name is Trinity Michael and welcome to my channel. This is my first official video and I'm so excited because today I'm going to talk about the nominees for the 2021 Grammys for Album of the Year. Let's get into it. Let me start off by saying that I am not at all qualified to talk about what makes music great or what makes it deserving of such a prestigious award. These are just my observations and opinions on the Grammy nominations. So in preparation for this video, I listened to each album twice, first to just absorb it, and then again to take notes on each song and give off my opinions on the album as a whole. First, I want to discuss the quality of the album, so I'll be touching on stuff like lyrics, production, and just general feelings that they give off. And then after that, I'll be going into some of my personal favorites, as well as whether or not they have a good chance of winning the Grammy. Here are my thoughts. Okay, full disclosure, I am a die-hard Jacob Collier stan. This album gives a mix of hyperpop and R&B, all with his signature Jacobian flair. I understand that his music might not do it for everyone, but it certainly does for me. I love every song here, and it's super hard for me to pick favorites because they keep changing. I'd say right now, though, I'm really digging In My Bones and He Won't Hold You. Jessie Volume 3 is the third installment of a 4-part album that Jacob Collier is releasing, so please, please, please give it a listen to if you haven't already. It's amazing.
Yeah. 1, 2, check.
I've never given Jhené Aiko's music much of a listen to until now, and I feel kind of guilty about it because this is right up my alley. I get overall chill vibes with fun lyrics. She can make a song for every mood. I will say though that some of the songs on here are a bit homogenous and probably not necessary to the album, but there's still a lot of great stuff on here. Some of my favorites are the freestyle Triggered and the goofy Tryna Smoke. Mom and Dad, I swear I'm not a smoker, I swear, it's just a fun song, don't come for me. Like many people, I hadn't heard of Black Pumas until now, but can I just say, wow, I love the grooviness of their music. However, this album is the length of a movie because it's the deluxe version. I feel like a lot of it could have been trimmed, but overall, I love the vibes. Standout songs are Know You Better, with its alien and outer space theme, as well as their gentle cover of Fast Car. Sonically, this album is lovely and pretty distinct. I love how it incorporates languages and music outside of the Western perspective. They also have songs like Sunrise that you would hear in a film score. Cry 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 is my favorite on here, most likely because Jacob Collier lent his vocals to the track. My issue with Everyday Life is not with how the music sounds, but with the content. Something about an all-white, all-male group being praised for speaking out against racial discrimination doesn't feel right to me. Like, what, you want a cookie for doing the bare minimum? I wonder why the Grammys would give them that kind of recognition, but not artists of color for doing the exact same thing. Moving on. These sisters are beyond talented. They serve you music from each and every genre. I get transported to each emotion and each situation that they talk about. I really could listen to these songs all day. I love how they also play a lot of their own instruments. Any woman that plays bass has my heart. My favorite tracks on here are Up From a Dream and All That Ever Mattered. Future. Dua Lipa is a true pop princess. Her music is full of pounding bass, which makes it perfect for dance class and TikToks. Everything on here feels like a party, except for Boys Will Be Boys, which is a sweeping social commentary track. And it says a lot about her reach when most of these songs have been circulating non-stop since their release. My personal favorite is Good in Bed, with its lively lyrics and almost doo-wop feel. This is one of the older albums on the list in terms of release date, and I guess that's why the songs sort of fall flat for me right now. The first half of the album had too many lyrics talking about problems that only Post Malone would go through, but the second half pretty much saved it. I most enjoyed Internet with its background orchestral sounds, and Myself, which was more rooted in R&B.
Vintage tea, brand new phone, high heels on, cobbles.
My Taylor Swift phase was somewhere between You Belong With Me and Shake It Off. Ever since then, I've sort of drifted away from her music, but I can still appreciate her artistry. I think we all know that she's brilliant and her lyrical storytelling is unreal. When I was listening to Folklore, I felt like I was watching a movie with each track. While I personally didn't connect with a lot of the songs here, I can still recognize her impact on her millions of fans. This album is really fleshed out with very little fluff. My favorites here are Illicit Affairs and Epiphany. Now that I've talked about each album, I want to go into their chances of winning the Grammy, as well as what I hope wins. At the bottom of my list is Everyday Life. As stated before, the optics of an all-male white group being celebrated for social commentary is iffy at best. This isn't a diss at Coldplay or their music, which I enjoyed for the most part. It's just that their nomination shows just how far the Grammys have to go in order to recognize artists of color. They should be the ones steering conversations about race and discrimination, not Coldplay. If Everyday Life won, it would be a predominantly white industry patting itself on the back while real issues get ignored. Call me an optimist, but I think the Grammys can do better than that. Next on my list is Hollywood's Bleeding, with the main issue being that it doesn't feel as fresh. I also don't think an album that's focused on your rich people problems will perform well with the creative types that are the Grammy voters. Save your flexing for your fans. This next group includes albums that, if they won, I would support and understand completely. They are, in no particular order, Future Nostalgia, Chilumbo, Women in Music Part 3, Folklore, and Black Pumas Deluxe. I think a win for Black Pumas Deluxe is very unlikely. This is because the original album for Black Pumas was released in June of 2019, which means that it's older than Hollywood's Bleeding. But the addition of a few new songs made this eligible for a nomination. I feel like the nod was to recognize the pure art that Black Pumas the group had created, but I don't think they'll be winning based off of a technicality. The women on this list knocked it out of the park, because of course they did. I will be cheering any of them on if they win. The most likely to win out of every album is Folklore. Taylor Swift has once again blown us away with her genius lyricism, and I wish nothing but the best for her. While Taylor is most likely to be taking home the Grammy, can I please say to give Jacob a chance? Jessie Volume 3 is a true revolution in music. Jacob Collier is the best artist on this list. No, I will not be taking that back. He's able to fit complex musical ideas inside neat, ready-for-radio packages. Newer listeners will find this appealing, while longtime fans will enjoy hearing magical musical nuggets and little Easter eggs that reference his previous work. I also believe that Jessie Volume 3 incorporates a lot of recurring themes I heard while listening to each of these albums. Most of them have an R&B influence, heightened use of lyrics and music, and/or emotional ties to the human experience. I think Jessie Volume 3 does all of these things the best, despite being the least commercially successful album on the list. And that's where he doesn't end up winning the Grammy. Voters for the Recording Academy are urged to select nominees and winners based on the quality of the work. Clearly that happened here because there's just so much great music on this list. But I think it's ridiculous to ask voters to completely ignore what charts, what gets talked about, and what makes money. Even the title, Album of the Year, implies influence and impact. It's hard to be influential if you don't even break the Billboard Top 200. The Grammy will be awarded to a quality album that had at least a decent amount of commercial success. There have been some instances of an upset, like when Beck beat out Beyoncé for Album of the Year back in 2015. But I think the probability of that happening again is pretty low. For Jacob stans and for Jacob Collier, I think being nominated is a win in and of itself. And to Taylor Swift, congratulations. You really deserve it. So those are my thoughts on the nominees for Album of the Year for the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards. But what about albums that didn't make the cut? Was music this year really that good that some seemingly obvious choices had to be omitted? Or is there something more sinister going on? I will be discussing all of this and more in upcoming videos. Until then, thank you so much for watching. I'm super excited to start my YouTube journey, and I hope you all subscribe so you can stay along for the ride. I want to engage in conversation with you all and be able to discuss my thoughts and opinions in this fun way. I can't wait to talk with you soon. Bye!